This is the first time I'm saying this on the channel in 6 years. And that is, we are getting a little bit too much rain right now. As you guys know, we've been in a little bit of drought here in some areas of Canada and actually the US as well. And this has been reflected in, obviously, the trials and tribulations of a drought. But what if I told you heavy, excessive levels of rain can also be the cause for yellow leaves, blossom end rot, blossom drop, wilted leaves, you name it. So today's video, we're going to talk about what heavy rain actually means for your garden and how you can mitigate against it in the event that it's actually causing more harm than good, which again is a very rare statement for me to make, but here we are. We're on week 2 of straight rain, and we're headed into week 3 of more rain. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Ashley. I have a bachelor's of science in soil science. I like to take that science and apply it to all things plants. And obviously in today's video, we're talking about the soil and plant science smashed together, because that is what rainwater does. It affects both the soil and the plants themselves. Now, before we get into the rest of the video, let's talk about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. One thing I've definitely noticed over the years from you guys in your comment section and just me personally is that us as gardeners put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We read the science, we follow the instructions, and still things don't seem to turn out because we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. And life can feel like that too. Sometimes challenges show up that are completely out of our control. And having someone to talk about those issues with can make a huge difference. Therapy isn't just for major crises. It is about being able to just verbalize something that is happening to you on an everyday basis that's causing you to be distracted, unable to focus, upset, unable to sleep. The best part is that BetterHelp is entirely online, which means you can do it from the comfort and enjoyment of your own garden. All you need to do is fill out a very brief questionnaire, and then you are matched with a therapist that kind of meets all of your needs. The best part is that you can actually switch therapists until you find the therapist that you like at no additional cost. If you've been thinking about trying BetterHelp, then go to betterhelp.com/gardeningincanada for 10% off your first month. Thanks again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into those heavy rains. So when it comes to heavy rain, there is one big issue that we tend to see, and that is lack of oxygen within the soil. What happens is when it rains, all our pore space gets filled up. And if we have a slow draining soil, for example, something that is heavier in clay, maybe something that is compacted, we end up with something that is mulched. This is where mulching kind of plays against you a little bit. But anything like that can and will cause that pore space within the soil to be absolutely full of water, leaving it no room for oxygen. If you watch my video on the 18 essential plant nutrients out there, you know that oxygen is beyond just the 18. It is like the absolute basic building blocks of what makes a plant what a plant is. The worst part about this is that this can show up in the form of lost blooms, yellow leaves, wilted leaves, curled leaves. You get the idea. Here's a really good example of a tomato plant that is unfortunately absolutely getting slaughtered by the rain because it is right underneath an eaves trough. And so this whole area is getting a ton of water. And you can see kind of this cupping here. That is a sign of potentially too much water. And it's not all my plants in this bed, so it's definitely not a toxicity issue being caused by maybe a compost I added or a straw I added, but this is quite literally right underneath the eave. And so what happens is that when the water is coming down too hard and it can't make it down through a normal channel, it ends up spilling over the edge and kind of landing in and around this area. And this little guy is not liking it as much as the other varieties are. Shockingly enough, I guess he has a different set of requirements when it comes to water needs. You're going to see yellowing or nutrient depleted signs within your plant. And you're probably thinking to yourself, does my plant need fertilizer? And the answer to that, if you've gotten enough rain and in certain soil types, yes, you probably do. For example, if you have a lot of heavy rain, that's number 1 reason for why you may need to fertilize. Or if you have a sandy soil, that's number 2 reason for why you may need to fertilize. Or if you're a container gardener, using like a high porosity mix of some sort is another reason to fertilize. The reason being is that there are different types of nutrients out there. Some are water soluble and are moved through a soil profile, regardless if it's organic or inorganic. It will move those nutrients out of the plant root's reach via the water and gravity. As the water rolls off, the nutrient goes with it. Now, the big one here is actually nitrogen, and this is why supplementing with nitrogen is going to be really important if you have heavy rains. This goes for people in particular who are doing top dressing or incorporated granular or organic fertilizers. You're going to need to supplement if you are seeing signs of this being lacking, or you're just thinking to yourself, that is a lot of water and an excessive volume. You're going to need to replenish. Sulfur and boron are two other examples of nutrients that are water soluble and can be very easily washed away by water. But nitrogen would be the one I really want you to focus on, only because sulfur and boron technically can be a little bit more sensitive if we over apply those. So I would rather you just not apply them rather than over apply. Now, here's the issue with that nutrient being removed. It leads to our next issue, and that is disease. It makes the plant more susceptible to disease. Now, many people think the rain itself is what causes the disease in the plants, and that's actually not the case. What happens is that rain causes conditions that help disease basically spread. For example, things like your soil, your mulch can all carry fungal spores or bacteria. Once the rain hits that and it's splashed back up onto the leaves, and now the leaves stay wet for an extended period of time, we end up with the perfect storm for disease. Issue number 2 is actually that we have less fruits and vegetables. Now, the reason for that is because with rain usually comes wind, cloud cover, and ultimately cooler temperatures. And what that means is we end up with plants that start to grow a little bit slower and are less inclined to put on flowers. Combo that with the fact that the pollinators themselves are getting blown away in gale force winds or absolutely drenched, and they can't do their job. And you end up with the perfect storm. Less flowers comboed with less pollinators. Now, this next issue, I don't deal with very often, but many of you will. And that is the urge to get into the garden immediately after it has rained. And that's an obvious reason for why. You want to assess the damage, you want to pull the weeds, you want to stake things, or heck, maybe you just want to finish planting because it has not stopped raining. And these are all valid reasons to go into the garden. The issue is that when we walk on wet soil, we actually are causing a lot of problems. Our wet soil is very similar to if we were to fill our home up with water. Our home right now, as it sits dry, is structurally sound. If we were to jump on the roof, nothing would happen. The drywall, the wood, everything is able to keep its form. But if I fill that up with water, my drywall, my wood in general, not that I don't have wood, my house is wood, you get the idea, it'll go a little mushy. Once it goes mushy, if you're to jump on top of it, you could very well fall through that roof. And long enough, after enough time, it will eventually just completely flatten out. This is what we see in soil, but obviously in a more expedited fashion. This is why after it rains, we actually want to wait, or we want to use things like 2x4s and ways to actually spread our weight out to ensure that we're not increasing the compaction in that garden too much. Now, obviously, there are a lot of good sides to actually having heavy rainfalls. For example, we're able to recharge the lower levels of our soil profile that were not charged before because there was no moisture. And that's something that if you were in a drought for the last half a decade, you probably have experienced. The other win here is that, remember how I said some nutrients is mobilized by water? Well, that mobilization can also change not just for water-soluble fertilizers or nutrients, but for all nutrients. It increases microbe activity, and it also will move nutrients into spaces, particularly areas on the bottom of a hill, for example. Now, unfortunately, we can't control how much water Mother Nature gives us. We can control when she doesn't give us enough, thankfully enough, but we can't control when she gives us too much. So ultimately speaking, the real fix to this may be, in some cases, aerating your soil if you need to, maybe pulling back on your mulch if you have to. Consider planting more plants in hopes of utilizing more water, staying out of the garden if it is something that you need to walk on, and really keeping your eye out for disease and ensuring that you act promptly. Most fungal and bacterial diseases are best taken out long before you ever see signs or symptoms. So if you have a known issue in your garden, powdery mildew, for example, you may want to start applying things like milk, which is a video. You may want to start applying things like milk, this video right here that you're going to want to watch, just to help make sure that it doesn't take over the whole garden. And you also probably want to hand pollinate if you're really worried that you're not getting enough pollinator activity. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do about those flowers. So that is unfortunate. This is also what Google says you should watch next, and I will talk to you guys next time.